try your best to make time, because if you do not make time for your children, they will be occupied with others. Allah Jalla wa Ala, in various verses in the Quran, He takes an oath by time. For example, He says, Wal Asr, by the time of Asr. Some of the scholars mention that the wisdom behind this oath is to inform the people that their time is running out. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says in a hadith, Ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathirun minan nas. Two bounties that people become unmindful of. People do not make the most of. As-sihhatu wal-faragh. Their good health and their free time. MashaAllah, with the school holidays having entered, it's important to remember that as a Muslim, yes, the season may be different, your routine may be different. However, you still need to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You still need to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You still need to try your best to be a good Muslim. Look at how the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying, these two bounties, most people are unmindful of them. Take a moment, ponder, reflect deeply. You may be in your teens, you may still be strong. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam is literally telling you that a time will come where you're not as strong as you used to be. You don't have the strength that you once had. It's coming to me and to you and to every single one of us. He says, As-sihhatu wal-faragh. The free time that you have now, there may come a time where you don't have that free time. What is the message from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? He's telling us, make the most of this time. In Islam, when you look at our different acts of worship, we have salah, we have fasting. This Ramadan does not take up the whole year. It comes for a period of time. And then there's a change. There's a different act of worship that comes, which is Hajj. And then there are other different acts of worship. So similarly, in your day-to-day lives, you may be on a holiday, or you may not be going to school, or you may not be going to work. However, this is an opportunity to do a different act of worship. When we look in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we find that his community, the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, they were the best of creation, the best people to have walked the earth after the Anbiya alayhim salatu wassalam. This community was very close. This community thrived. Why did they thrive? One of the reasons for this is there was no barriers between those who were older and those who were younger. There were no barriers. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam would empower the youngsters. He would spend time with the youngsters. So many times we find in society today, people don't have time for their own children. Yes, during the work hours, people might accept, or they may say we don't have time, but what about in the holidays? Try your best to make time, because if you do not make time for your children, they will be occupied with others, people who you don't know what they impart to them. Look at the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. There was no barrier between him and the youngsters and between him and the whole community. So much so, it's recorded in Musnad al-Imam Ahmad that one day a young man came to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, ata'dhan li biz-zina? Will you allow me to commit zina?" Imagine, who's he coming to? The best of creation, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Amongst us, imagine if somebody had to come to the front and ask this question to the Imam. People will get upset and angry. The Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because he had such a good rapport with them, he was approachable. Even things which they thought to be taboo, even things which were bad, they still came to ask him. They came to ask his advice. They came to ask the reasoning. And look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, being the leader that he was, he explains to this young man, "My dear parents, as you spend time with your children, whether it's in the school holidays or not, make sure that when you teach them that which is right, and that which is wrong, explain to them the reasoning behind it. And inshallah you will find they will listen. That's why some of the scholars mention that when Allah Jalla wa Ala tells the people, لا تقولوا راعنا, don't address the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam by saying ra'ina. Rather say وَقُولُ انظُرْنَا. Say the word unzurna. Some of the scholars mention that from the wisdom of a person is when they tell somebody that this is not allowed, they must give them an alternative. They must give them an alternative. When you're dealing with your children and you tell them this is impermissible, this is not allowed, we shouldn't be doing this, give them the alternative, the halal alternative. Allah Jalla wa Ala has made so much which is halal. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, when we look at the community of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, not only was he approachable when it came to the youngsters, he empowered the youngsters, him as well as the Khulafa al-Rashidun. That's why you find that community thrived. That community went out and did so much good because they were always nurturing the younger generation. They were empowering. Umar radiallahu anhu, when he met with some of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the seniors, they would be asking masail when it came to the Quran. And amongst these seniors, he would bring one of the youngsters. Who was this youngster? Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. Some say he was still a teenager. Some say he was still a little bit younger than that. He would bring them to the gathering of the seniors. Look at how there was no barrier. So some of the seniors tell Umar radiallahu anhu, why is it that you bring this youngster to us? And Umar radiallahu anhu says that Allah Jalla wa Ala has given him understanding that some of you don't even have. And then we all know the story where he asks him, he says, "Oh son of Abbas, what do you see as the meaning of إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ?" And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma replies that I think Allah Jalla wa Ala is telling the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam that he is about to pass away. What's my message? My message is between you and your children, make sure that you have a good relationship. And even if it is not your child from your own bloodline, however, children of the community, make them feel welcome. Have activities that, bi'idhnillah, increase the brotherhood, increase the unity, and you will find that this community, as well as all of us as Muslimin, we will grow and prosper.